Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Sorry, I'm trying to find my clicker. Everybody. So, today, we are back for another video. I am actually very excited because today we're doing the other half of the mint. And last week we did spearmint. This week we are doing peppermint. Now, they are both part of the mint family. So they do spread both pretty much the same way with rhizomes, rhizomes. We'll go with rhizomes. It's fine. With rhizomes going under the soil. So when you are planting mint, just like with the spearmint, I'm going to reiterate it until it gets stuck in your head. You are going to plant it in a pot. You're going to plant it in a pot because if you don't, this will take over. I dropped my seed packet. This would take over your garden. And you really don't want that. From what I've heard, it's from people who have bought houses and with gardens that already had mint in it, it is a pain, a actual pain, both literally and figuratively, to take out. So, with that being said, we're going to color code this. So, if you guys remember from last week's video, we put the spearmint into the little puppy pot, little three-legged puppy pot. So, this week we're going to color code this and put the peppermint into the dark blue pot. So, this pot, a lot of my pots that I get are actually from a company called Virgo. I think it's Virgo or Virga, whatever it is. They supply a lot of pots to a lot of the big chain hardware stores like Lowe's or Home Depot, or I think they also supply to Ace as well. But that's where I mostly find a lot of my cute little pots, is either at Lowe's or Home Depot. I do like going to both stores just to see what they have. But what I will say is, let's get started. No, actually, what I will say is I do like their pots because a lot of them lately have been having this little, like, built-in saucer on the bottom. It's not movable. I can't move it. But what happens is as it drains, there we go, there's better light. As it drains, it's going to drain through that hole, through that drainage hole in the bottom, and it's just going to collect down here. But it's big enough to where it can collect the water, but it's not too small to where it's going to overflow, which is great because really these should only be given maybe a quarter cup of water, because a lot of these just don't, not the plants I have, just don't need a lot of water. Now, at some point, I will say, we are going to be doing a transplant video into a bigger pot. But to start off, I think this size will be perfect for it. Now, if you guys do remember from a couple months ago, or a few weeks ago, I had the rosemary in here. And the rosemary, sadly, did not make it. I still don't know why that is. But what I will say is that I'm hoping that the mint surpasses it and does even better than the rosemary did. But with that being said, let's get started. So, what I have done, and I did this a few weeks ago off camera, is I took the rosemary out. I washed out the pot thoroughly, and I let it dry for a few days. And the reason why I washed it out is because just in case there was anything in the pot from the rosemary, I wanted to make sure that it was all cleaned out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some indoor potting soil. I'm just going to pour it in here. With the sunlight coming through the blinds, you can see the dust like coming up. And what I want to do is I'm going to do about we'll do one more little scoop. And see, I keep looking at it and being like, no, a little bit more. So the reason why I'm being so picky about how much I put in here is because over time what's going to happen is the soil is going to settle. So when you're potting in, whether it be a garden bed, a raised bed, a traditional garden bed, or in a pot, and you're using either in-ground or indoor potting soil, the dust got me. It does not matter what you are using. When you go to water it, the water will cause the soil to settle. And over time, it can settle a lot. So don't be afraid to fill it up a little bit too much sometimes, depending on the size of the pot and what you're planting. Because over time, as you water it and take care of it, that soil is going to settle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this down, break these open. So this is peppermint. This is from a company called Back to the Roots, and it looks like these seeds are from Poland, which is interesting. Or they're Poland's. They just say Poland seeds. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so if you guys remember with last week, the spearmint seeds were yellow. Sorry, they were yellow. My bad. The peppermint seeds are white. Look at that. They look like little tiny pearls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of flatten the soil. I'm going to flatten the soil like so. I'm going to also water it a little bit beforehand. That way it settles down. I did a bit too much water, which is fine. Okay. Is that all of it? There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just like with the spearmint, I'm just going to set it on top. Sprinkle them on top, actually. I want to sort of give it sort of a wide area. So just like so. And I like that these seeds are colored for a couple reasons. One is because when you plant them, you can clearly see where you put them at, which is great. The other reason why I like it is because if you lose them, it's also easy to see them. Granted, you don't lose them on a white surface or a yellow surface, depending on the color of the seed. But a lot of companies will do that, is they'll color their seeds with like a natural coloring, to that way landscapers gardeners, and people who work in nurseries can see where they're planting it. They do it with grass seed especially, because you need to make sure that you're covering the entire area, and you want to make sure that you can see where you covered. So with that being said, we're going to do the exact same process as we did with the spearmint. We're going to sprinkle a little bit of soil on top. We're going to water it one more time. Okay, so I did a little bit of, it's a little bit more than I wanted, but it's fine. It will work out. So we put a little bit of soil on top, and depending on what you are planting depends on what the process is to plant it. So there are some seeds where you have to bury about like 1.5 inches deep, or like 1/2 inch deep. And there are some seeds where you just sprinkle on top, and then you just sprinkle soil on top of it. And the reason that is because some seeds have a shallow rooting, or they have like deep roots, but when you plant them, you want to plant them shallow. That way they can go deeper. I've had multiple different vegetables and herbs in general call for different ways of planting them. So with that being said, we're gonna water this one more time, and we're gonna put it in the windowsill right next to the little puppy. I'm holding this over the bucket because of the fact that when I watered it the first time, I put a little bit too much water in there and it guzzled it, and then it spewed it out the sides onto the floor. Which is, I mean, it's fine. It's just annoying. Okay. At least I know it works. At least I know it works. Okay. So that is our peppermint. As there's still water in the saucer. Oh, geez, we are a mess today. Welcome to Monday. So, we are going to put this in the windowsill right next to the spearmint, and hopefully in a couple weeks we'll come back and we'll see that it's sprouted. So, stay tuned to that. For that, I will be doing an update video. I think it's going to be a combined video, or it might be like one each. So we'll check that out coming up in a few weeks. With the peppermint, it does take full sun. So at some point I am gonna end up moving this somewhere else. But for now, in the windowsill should be fine. If you guys do have any questions, you can put them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get back to you in a timely manner. As always, have fun, keep on gardening, and I can't wait to give you guys an update.
Hi, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys wanted to see our featured video, it's going to be here. If you guys want to subscribe, it's going to be on this side. If you guys would like to support the channel and what we do, there's going to be a link in the description for our Patreon, where you can get loads of extra content. As always, have fun and keep on gardening.